What's going on, guys? JPB Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Friday. And for today's gameplay, we have an Adventures Pranks versus a branded Despia, with my opponent playing branded Despia going first. Now, first of all, this is a pretty good going first hand. Unfortunately, we are going second with it, so can't complain much about it. My opponent starts off his turn by activating a polymerization, to which I chain my Maxi. Now, I don't know about you guys, okay? But my personal experience is that 90% of the times I have activated Maxi on my opponent's turn, it has never resolved. They either have Ash Blossom, Cross Out, or a Call by the Grave in their hand to always negate out the Maxi that I activate, which just feels extremely bad. So in the comment section below, let me know your experience with your own Maxi activations. So in this specific scenario, of course, I get Ash Blossom. Pretty bad, but that's okay. But once again, branded players, they summon out just 3 or 4 times, so they can't even be nibbed. They play around nib. It's an extremely big advantage they have, which is pretty broken. And right now, they are at full power. So let me pause right here. First of all, if you do see the polymerization into a mask play, you need to check your opponent's graveyard which cards they use for the play. In this specific situation, it lets me know that my opponent is pretty bricked because he did use 2 tragedies from hand. So pretty good for us in this scenario. But not that great because the tragedy does search for a Luber from the grave. It's going to normal out the Luber, search for Branded Fusion, and as you guys all know, Branded Fusion is one of the biggest and stupidest card in Master Duel currently, aside from Block Dragon, because this card allows people to go +5, +6, +7, I don't even know, +5 on average. It's just a stupid card, all in all. So he uses the Branded Fusion and pitches 2 cards to go into Lubellion. Now, once again, you need to look at your opponent's graveyard on the pitch for the Lubellion play, because that lets you know what kind of play your opponent is going for. Because nowadays, there's not a single line for branded Despia players. They have multiple lines. They can go into the Edo lock line, they can go into the Raw lock line, they can go into the Comedy line, or they can just pitch out a tragedy, but this guy already pitched tragedy from his hand, so no tragedy. So we had to check his graveyard. This guy pitched a Dramaturg to go into the Lubellion, that's okay. But understand this, alright? If they pitch a Comedy for the play, that means they're trying to play around Imperm Veiler, and it could also mean that they hard drew the ad libitum in their hand in the initial phase. So you need to keep that in mind according to the cards they pitch in the graveyard. Obviously, the Eater Lock, they will go into the Brand Expulsion play to Eater Lock you. That's a new thing, a new toxic thing that branded players have. But yeah, it is what it is. We have to deal with it. With that, he pitches an Fawn of Albus from his hand to go into Mirror Jade. He activates Mirror Jade at this point to get the Albion, banish out the Aluber to set the branded in red at the end of his turn. Once again, you guys need to look at the opponent's graveyard. Does he have ad libitum in the graveyard? No, he does not. That means his Mirror Jade is now completely gone, right? He used Mirror Jade this turn. He cannot refresh the Mirror Jade on my turn. He does have tax on the field, but if he does activate branded in red, he could just go into a second tax, or if he goes Chimera for the draw power, the Mirror Jade goes away from the field completely. Keep in mind, this is an originally summoned Mirror Jade. That means if I pop this card, my whole field gets popped as well. So with that, the branded in red gets set down and he passes his turn over. With that, I draw into one of the most useless cards in my deck. I already have the full adventure combo in my hand. Did not need to draw this card, but it is what it is. We play with what we get. The Tax Dragon starts taxing me on my adventure engine. I get the right. We're going to activate the right, get taxed for 600 again, get the token, get the adventure on the field. To which the response is obviously straight away branded in red because I was going to bounce out the Mirror Jade. He uses up the Mirror Jade to go into Guardian Chimera with all 3 cards, 2 on field, 1 in hand. That means he gets 2 pops on the field. He draws 1 card, and Tragedy Banish will search him for another copy of Aluber for the next turn, right? So he searches for the Aluber, Chimera gets 2 card pops on the field, he pops both my token plus the adventure and draws another card. Now, I was hoping, okay, this was a lot of hopium involved in this whole play, that the one card he drew hopefully is not a hand trap, because if it turns out to be an Ash Blossom or Maxi, I just lose the game from that point forwards. Thankfully, it was not a hand trap. So we go our full Prankets combo, right? One card full combo, no stopping, full pedal to the metal, and we have that right there. We're gonna go through the Roxy's as well, and this Roxy's, since I have 2 copies of Skill Drain in my hand, I'm gonna banish out 1 Skill Drain. Now you guys might be thinking, Jay, why not banish out the Foolish Burial? Because Foolish Burial becomes a useless card in your hand once the Enchantress is banished out. Well, let me tell you why. Because if I draw into my Nemesis Flag or Nemesis Corridor, I can recycle this card out and then Foolish Burial the Enchantress again to go into my token again. That's the whole reason why I kept the Foolish Burial in my hand and did not banish it out. I was just trying to save it for a follow-up play if I ever needed that play to happen. So with that, Skill Drain gets banished, draw into a nib, set down our cards, pass my turn over to the opponent's side. Of course, cannot whack into Chimera, too big for me. Now, once I drew the card from the Pranks recycle, I was so upset, because if I drew this card over nib from the Roxy's banish plus draw, I would have outright won the game that turn itself. Sucks, but that's okay. With that, the opponent draws a card, we activate Bow Wow in the draw phase, hoping that he does not have a call by. Thankfully, he did not. We draw our cards. We get our cards for the Butler combo into our hand. Opponent normals out the Alubert that he searched for last turn with the Tragedy banish. Alubert searched for the Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion play goes into Lubellion. Now, my chat was telling me to just flip over Skill Drain on the Alubert normal. I chose not to do that, because I was trying to save my Skill Drain for as long as possible. Again, I wanted to get the Butler pop on the opponent's full field and still have it on the field. So basically, I wanted to get the Meowmoo banish on the Butler pop and save my Butler on the field. But let's be honest, that's never going to happen, because I need to activate Skill Drain, otherwise Lubellion will just activate on summon itself, and I cannot pop my field on Lubellion's summon. Sorry, I cannot pop my opponent's field on Lubellion's summon after activating Skill Drain, because that way Lubellion goes through because it's not on the field anymore. So I chain my Butler to the my Panday to the activation of my opponent's Branded Fusion, put my Butler on the field. With that, we go into our Fusion play. Butler comes on the field. His own Branded Fusion resolves. He gets 2 pitch in the grave, goes into Lubellion. The pitch right at this point is Ad Libitum plus a Fawn of Albaz. So at this point, he does have Ad Libitum in the graveyard. Need to keep track of that. With that, I get my own graveyard activations on the chain of the Lubellion, and at the end, of course, we have to activate Skill Drain, otherwise Mirror Jade does come on the field, which I do not want happening in this scenario. So we activate Skill Drain, and of course, we cannot use our Butler pop at this point. We have to let the Skill Drain resolve, otherwise Lubellion goes through because it is not on the field anymore, so Skill Drain does not affect it. So with that, we get 2 copies of Dropsies. Lubellion gets negated. He's going to banish out the Tragedy from his graveyard, target the Branded in red, put it on the field, set down another card from his hand, and pass the turn. Now over here, don't think I'm stupid, okay? This is an extremely deliberate play I'm making. I know Skill Drain's active on the field. Even then, I am using both my Butler pops, right? I'm using both my Butler pops. I'm banishing Meowmoo from my graveyard, because again, if I draw into a copy of Nemesis Corridor or Nemesis Flag, I will be able to recycle Meowmoo from my banishment pile and get more materials on the field to be able to combo with more cards. That's the whole reason for the Meowmoo banish at this point. It's not a stupid play, it's a thought out play. The Butler gets the full field pop, and my opponent just passes his turn over. Basically, at this point, this Branded in red that he set down is fizzled out. Even if he adds a card to his hand, he cannot go into a fusion play. So 1 dead card on the field. With that, on my draw phase, he activates a Branded Banishment to put Lubellion on the field. Okay, can't do much with that, but I'm okay with that. And he activates a Branded in red as well, targets the Ad Libitum now. So this way, if he goes into a fusion play, which is obviously a Tax Dragon, but Tax Dragon is negated thankfully, because of skill drain. But now with the ad libitum, he gets to put the Mirror Jade back on the field from the banishment pile. Okay. With that play, I go into Totally Awesome first order of business, right? Also, since I have Instant Fusion, I can now put two cards on the field through Rocket Ride. So namely, our Bow Bark and our Doodly Doo, right? Because Doodly Doo can tribute itself, targets cards in the graveyard, add them to our hand, and we could make plays off of that. Or we could clear out the opponent's field completely. Now you guys may be asking me, Jay, how do you do that? Well, I run Underworld Goddess, right? I run Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I have I have enough materials on the field to go into Goddess and take away my opponent's Mirror Jade. That way, I could just kill off the Tax Dragon and be done with the whole field. That was the play I was going for at this point. So with that, I do exactly that. Go into Underworld Goddess. I'm going to go into battle phase, kill off the Tax Dragon, try to attack him with Totally Awesome. Of course, it's not going to go through. He's going to put the Tax Dragon back on the field since I do control an Xyz or a Link monster on the field. So it comes back, I cancel my attack, don't want to attack into it, end my turn. Activate Pranks, recycle 3 cards, draw into Nemesis Flag. Again, really good card because now I could recycle out my Meowmoo. I have a follow-up play for my next turn. With that, the opponent draws a card. He straight away goes into battle phase, kills off my Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome triggers in the graveyard. I get my dropships back into my hand. Once again, it's a big follow-up play for me. I don't know what card my opponent drew into, nor do I care about it, because even if he draws into something useful, I don't think he could build up enough field to out me through my skill drain. And my follow-up play next turn would have been pretty insane as is. So with that, once I add the dropships to my hand, my opponent knows he's cooked and he scoops the game. Well, maintenance notice, okay. Well, that's going to be it for today's game, guys. Hope you guys do enjoy that video. If you did enjoy it, please consider hitting the like button, subbing to my channel for more daily prank and video uploads. And if you guys are interested in the live version of all this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule and a link to my Discord will be in the video description stuff for you guys to check out. This is JPBduel signing off for today. I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace!